It's just ticked over 8 o'clock. You're listening to SportsFeva with Matthew and Peter Swampy Marson. Joining us on the line, we're just talking about him. He's a local star from the Moreton Bay region, golfer Daniel Nisbet. Good morning to you.
How are you guys?
Yeah, we're very good here, Dan, and we're probably not as good as you. You're about to embark on a little bit of a, we certainly won't say holiday, but on a bit of a trip over to Turkey for the World Amateur Team Golf Championships. It's a massive occasion and one of the most prestigious tournaments in the world. How are you feeling ahead of representing the green and gold for the first time, Dan?
Yeah, mate, no, it's very exciting stuff, we got a little trip down to Melbourne first, and then we're straight off to Turkey. So it's going to be quite a trip, I think. The courses over there are pretty amazing, and it's just going to be a great atmosphere, I think.
Now, it's the Eisenhower Trophy, for those who don't know it. It brings together three-man teams from just about every country that plays golf in the world, and each country chooses the three best amateur golfers. And, of course, on the Australian team is Dan, Cameron Smith, as we mentioned earlier, Matty, and Matt Steiger from Victoria. I know you're pretty close to both of those other guys, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, well, I've obviously grown up and played a lot of golf with Cameron. We started off playing junior pennant and then A-grade pennant for Caboolture and Wantima together, and then Matty Steger I've got to know over the last couple of years just through amateur golf. He's from down Sydney, so there's always plenty of rivalry between the three of us.
And drawing together some of the best golfers from around the world, the best amateur golfers at this tournament. How tough's that competition going to be in Turkey?
Oh, it's going to be really tough. A lot of the European countries always bring really strong teams. So it's it's going to be a big field, a lot of players, but it's also the best players from each country. So it's kind of a thing where it's not going to be anyone's tournament, and it's kind of hard to pick a winner, especially a winning country. But I like to think we're still the favourites.
You had a wonderful tour in the US only a couple of months past. You've just been on a couple of months off, winning the Players and then earning your first start on the PGA Tour and an event next year. How are you feeling in your own form leading into Turkey? I think the best 2 of 3 scores get taken each day. Are you feeling pretty confident in your own form leading in?
Yeah, I'm feeling really confident, mate. I've been playing pretty well. There hasn't been much on the last 4 to 5 weeks since I've been back, it's been good to take some time off and just have a look how everything's going with my coach, and obviously the physical side of things, and everything's been going really well. Done a lot of good work over the last 4 to 5 weeks, and I think it's coming along quite nice, and I'm happy with how everything's going. My coach is happy, which is the main thing. So.
Yeah, there's no shortage of talent on that Aussie team. It's been a little while since the green and gold has taken out the Eisenhower Trophy. Of course, we certainly know your own talent here, but with Matt and Cameron alongside you, do you definitely think the Aussies are a shake this year?
Oh, absolutely, mate. All the tournaments that we've played overseas this year, we're competing with the guys, competing against the guys that we're going to be playing with in this tournament, and we've been very competitive. Especially Matty Steger. We've all been really competitive at those tournaments, and I think that's a great sign for us leading into this event.
Yeah, Cameron Smith will be feeling plenty of confidence. I think it's on the 16th or 17th hole at one of the 2 courses you'll play at, Dan. He bagged an ace in the practice round leading into it last year. Tell us that story.
There's a bit of a story to it. I mean, it was one of our last days when we were in Turkey, and we were just there trying to see the courses and stuff like that. And we were all sitting around on the 17th tee, I think it was, and there's a group of 4 golfers in front of us, and they were having a bit of trouble on the hole. And it was maybe a 180-metre hole, and so we were waiting probably for 15 minutes, the whole bunch of us on this tee. And anyway, Cam, I think he might have duffed his first one because we were just sitting around laughing at each other and trying to put each other off. And then the next one he steps up and goes, I bet you'll knock this in. And sure enough, there's 2 bounces straight in the hole.
It's always the way when they never call it, or when you call it as a joke that it'll go in.
Exactly. So it was pretty funny. So that was a bit of a good laugh and good celebration there. So.
How do the courses compare in Turkey, Dan, to the Australian conditions? You certainly had plenty of experience of all sorts of golf courses around the world. Do these courses in Turkey compare well to Australian or perhaps US or British courses?
It's a bit of a mix, really. It's tough. I think they fit into the US kind of program of courses. They're very tight courses, a lot of trees, but also they're very long. So it makes it tough when they're so tight. So you want to hit, you don't always want to hit driver off the tee, but then you're faced with the problem of having such a long shot into the green if you haven't hit driver off the tee. So it's going to be a tough mix.
It's a pretty short list, the golfers that have made the Eisenhower Trophy team. I think you're number 71 on the list of all players, and Matty and Cam are 71 or 72 and 73. What's it feel like to be a part of that list and to be representing Australia there?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, like you said, it's a very short list, and it's a pretty exclusive list if you go back through it as well. So it's a great feeling to have that number on my shirt and my hat. So it's it'd be great to have a win, and that's an even more exclusive list, I guess, for Australia. So that'd be great.
Dan, it's always wonderful to have you on the show, and we'll be watching and cheering on from back home here in Caboolture as you and Cam and Matt go about your business in Turkey. Best of luck over there, mate, and we'll have to catch up when you're back and around here. Well done.
No worries. Cheers, Pete. Cheers, Matt.
Thanks, Dan. Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. Daniel Nisbet, a young golfing star from the Moreton Bay region. He's a SportsFeva favourite. We've spoke to Dan a couple of times. He's been in the studio himself, and we can't wish him enough luck and give him enough SportsFeva power.
Yep, the SportsFeva bump. It's a hallowed thing, and hopefully we can.
It's a bit shaky at the moment.
It's a little bit shaky at the moment
with rugby league teams in particular. Golfers, I think it's going okay with.
I think it is going right with golfers and Olympians perhaps as well. But those boys will be fine. I've spoken to a couple of golfing types during the week, and the unique thing about this tournament is that it relies on. There's not the team players in an Ambrose or a football or anything like that. The three guys go out there, they shoot the scores that they can, and then the two best scores count for the day. And the people among Golf Australia are very confident in this team, in that both Dan and Cam and Matt all have a real ability to just pull some crazy scores and shoot some exceptionally low scores when they want to. So there's every hope that one of these guys can go out, really set a cracking pace and almost challenge each other. So if Dan goes out there and shoots a really low score, that both Cameron and Matt can back it up. So there's a fair bit of hope among this team, and just wonderful that two of them are from the Moreton Bay region. I think there ended up being a short list of about 8 golfers by the time the team was chosen, and these are the 8 elite amateur golfers in Australia. There's none better than those group, and for both Daniel and Cameron to be chosen in that team is a massive honour and a big achievement by both those boys.
Yeah, no, well done to both Cam and Dan. It's 8 minutes past 8 here on SportsFeva. We'll have a quick look at the weather. Blur there with Song 2. It's 10 minutes past 8. You listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. The time now to talk to a real good friend of the show, Con Searle from the Kilcoy Race Club. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Matthew. How are you this morning?
Hey, we're pretty excited because we've had you on the show over the last couple of years. We've had our disappointments with rain washing meetings away, but this is a huge event coming up on Monday for the Kilcoy Race Club. It's been, I think, 9 years at least since we've seen a TAB, a Sky Channel meeting at Kilcoy, and we're back on Sky on Monday, Con. Very exciting times.
It's absolutely fantastic. I'm so grateful and so humble to have Mr. Kevin Dixon, the chairman of Racing Queensland, to be able to, and his board, to be able to give us the inaugural showcase meeting. We've tried so hard for years to get our meetings back, and we've lobbied, we've pushed, we've tried to have the best country meetings around, and unfortunately, we had our troubles with the floods and the rain. But it's just unbelievable to be given this meeting.
Con, just explain the importance of TAB coverage and Sky Channel coverage for maybe the non-racing folk that don't understand the importance of those two things that are happening on Monday.
Well, what it does is it draws the attention to Kilcoy and to the country racing. It also encourages people to participate in the country racing. As far as the club is concerned, we, from the turnover, we create funding that helps the club to be able to survive. But the most of all, in my opinion, is the coverage on Sky channels throughout Australia and the coverage by TAB makes the racing fraternity and the future racing fraternity, the younger people, aware of what country racing can do for racing and what it is like as an industry. As we all know, Kilcoy would be one of the best nurseries of apprentice jockeys and trainers and bookmakers over the years, of which many of those persons have reached their pinnacle in their fields here in Australia and overseas.
Con, it's the inaugural race in a new series that's running around Queensland. I imagine yourself and the board must be pretty honoured that Kilcoy has been given the job of kicking off this new race series.
Well, as you know, Peter and Matthew, I travelled and bookmake right throughout all of Eastern, virtually Eastern Australia, and right through to Darwin, down to Birdsville, for all the carnivals and that. And everywhere I've been, it's just the interest. You've got this showcase meeting on the 1st of October. It's a TAB meeting. We'll all be watching it. So I think what's happened is we're going to set the example. We're going to set the what do I say? The standard of which everyone else has got to be able to reach up to, and to have it, to be granted it. It's just unbelievable, and I just thank the board and I thank racing. It just shows you the confidence that Racing Queensland, the new regime and the board have in Kilcoy.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic effort, and when all seem lost, Con, this is a moment we've all been waiting for now. We've had a look at a little bit of the weather forecast. There is some rain predicted, but it should be just the perfect amount just to wet things up a little bit, and the Mooney Valley of the North, as the Kilcoy racetrack is nicknamed, should be in tip-top condition come Monday. Yes,
we had 6 mils of rain on Monday. That storm that passed through, it's absolutely beautiful. We'll be racing, and we look forward to it. We've got 118 nominations. That's just unbelievable. I looked at the nominations the other day and couldn't believe it. They're huge fields in all the races and good quality horse. Kelly Schweider and all these leading Brisbane trainers have all nominated for the meeting. Well, I ran into Jason McLaughlin on Sunday at Flounder, and as I walked past him, he said, "I'll be there Monday, Con. I'll be there Monday." And he is. He's got his horses in. So this is the feeling right through the whole racing fraternity. It just goes to show you how the racing fraternities, trainers, jockeys, and everyone thought about Kilcoy and how they wanted racing to come back to country racing, to back to Kilcoy, to Esk, to everywhere. Peter and Matthew, there's something I'd like to be able to say while I'm on this program. I'm going to lobby now that in the future that Racing Queensland consider bringing in a circuit in the southeast Queensland country where there's racing every Saturday at a venue. Now, I mean like a Kilcoy-esque Gatton, Bow Desert. So trainers and owners can now, and jockeys can now plan their future, and trainers can encourage owners to come in and syndication of horses, and they've got a meeting every Saturday right through the southeast Queensland country meetings. It used to be like that back in the 70s and the 80s, and that's where racing really flourished right throughout this area. I think that Racing Queensland will consider it. I hope they will. And I hope that it'll come back in one day.
We fingers crossed, Con, and keep us up to date with your lobby efforts there and any progress in that regard. But looking ahead to Monday, tell us about some of the big events that are planned on the day. We know we've got some great racing, but for those that aren't just about the horses, what else is happening there on the day?
Well, I'll go through a couple of things. First of all, it's the fastest of the fields, and we've got some wonderful prizes. Brisbane Racing Club, who have been stalwarts of Kilcoy and helped us through our hard times, have given us 2 wonderful passes to their VIP area for the Melbourne Cup Day. Now, that'll be the first prize in the fashion of the fields. Harvey World Travel have given us night's accommodation, a 4-star accommodation. We have other various community and business enterprises in Kilcoy have given other prizes, and we've got the best gent, the best lady, the best hat, the best teenager, the best junior. We've also got the Lucky Door prizes. Now, one of the main prizes, or the first prize, the Lucky Door prize, is a weekend at the Leopardtree Lodge Country Retreat. It's a new country retreat here in Kilcoy. Absolutely beautiful it is, and it's set on the close by to Lake Somerset. It'll be first prize. There's the second prize for the Lucky Book will be a $50 meat voucher to Glen Archery Butchery, and then we've got 20 passes to the Sunshine Coast Turf Club. The one of the main races of the day will be acknowledging our past president, Mr. Dick Furling. It'll be the Dick Furling Searles Garden Products QTIS maiden race, and we've got a magnificent trophy. It'd be valued at about $500. It's a two-tiered draw cutlery set. This is in honour of Dick Furling, who has been our president for 44 years, and at present he is very ill and had to resign this month. So we're acknowledging his contribution to our great club.
It's been a marvellous contribution by Dick, and I think considered probably the longest standing ongoing president in race clubs right around Australia. Now, Con, also on the day, Kilcoy famous for the steak burgers and the cold beer. They'll no doubt be all available.
Well, we'll have at least 1,000 steak sandwiches ready there. There'll be plenty of cold refreshments. The barbecue will be on, and there's a marquee, so if anyone wants any bookings from the marquees, there's still about 2 tables left, so I can contact my wife. And at Kilcoy Race Club, it's there for them, and it'll be a great day. It
will be a great day, and for anyone that's never been to Kilcoy races, if they're coming from Caboolture, how do they get there, Con?
Just go through town, head out towards Nanango. You'll come to the crossroads where the road turns to the left to Somerset Dam, where you turn right into the showgrounds. You can't miss it as you go west of Kilcoy. It looks picturesque.
It looks picturesque. The Moonee Valley of the North. It'll be great, Con. We can't wait. It'll be a huge event and some competitive racing. And for anyone that's got their Sky Channel, have we found out if it'll be on Sky Channel 1 or Sky Channel 2, Con? Sky Channel 2 most likely?
I haven't found out yet. I haven't been advised. All I know is it's on Sky Channel.
That's fantastic, regardless of which channel it will be on. Con, we really enjoy having you on. You're a favourite here on SportsFeva, and we can't wait for Monday.
I appreciate being on your radio. Thank you very much.
Good on you, Con.
Cheers, Con.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Pete. Bye-bye.
Con Searle from the Kilcoy Race Club. Swamp, let's just hope this rain stays away.
Yeah, I think it will. It's going to be a big day out there, an exciting time for the club to get that race again. I think 7-race program is scheduled, and a fair incentive in terms of prize money out there for trainers as well. So it's going to be a very big day out at Kilcoy on Monday.
Great day, and if you're not doing anything on the public holiday, look, head up there. I can't endorse how good a day Kilcoy races is.
Well, the steak sandwiches alone.
Steak sandwiches alone, Swamp. That's all you need. If you don't have any interest in racing, just go and get yourself a steak sandwich. It is the best steak sandwich you'll ever have. That's a SportsFeva guarantee. Time now for a quick word from our sponsors.
Swimming pools are great fun. They can also be dangerous to toddlers. Hi, I'm Olympic swimmer and mum of 2, Sam Riley, with a tip on keeping your toddlers safe when near water. Never leave toys in a pool that might attract your toddler. Always supervise children. Never rely on floating devices to supervise your children for you. And always ensure the gate is closed. For more information, visit www.rawlifesaving.com.au. Remember, keep watch to prevent your child from drowning.
24 minutes past 8, you listen to SportsFeva with Matthew and Swampy. Time now to turn our attention to Saturday, the big AFL Grand Final. And joining us on the line is SportsFeva's own AFL guru, Mike Whiting. Good morning to you.
Hey Matthew, hey Swampy, how are you boys?
Yeah, we're very good here, mate, and exciting times for all AFL fans. The big dance coming up on Saturday afternoon between Hawthorn and the Sydney Swans. How have you seen both teams leading into this one, Mike? The Hawthorn, of course, nearly got pipped by Adelaide last week, but Sydney did the job over Collingwood. Both teams coming in with some pretty good form.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I guess we say it every year at this time of year, but there's there's no doubt the two best teams have made the grand final. You mentioned Hawthorn just sneaking over the line there. It sort of reminded me of Geelong in about 2007 when they really steamrolled their way through the back half of the year, and they had a bit of a hurdle in the preliminary final against Collingwood that year and just got over the line and went on and won the premiership. And that really reminded me of Hawthorn the other night. They battled away. They didn't play their best footy, but they got through. Whereas Sydney just played the way Sydney always play. They're relentless. They ground Collingwood out of it and found their way through. So there's no doubt we've got the two best teams, contrasting styles, the best attack with Hawthorn, the best defence with Sydney. Should be an absolute ripper. How
do you see those sort of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object almost? How do you see that attack with Buddy Franklin and Cyril Rioli trying to crack through that Swans defence?
Well, they're just so unpredictable, those two guys. It makes them very hard to defend. And when you're talking about Cyril Rioli, it's not just when he's got the ball, it's when he hasn't got the ball. He scares the opposition defenders because he's a little terrier. He makes 2 and 3 and 4 efforts in one sequence of play. If he's stuck off the ball, that's just as scary as when he's on the ball. I think their unpredictability makes them really tricky to defend against. And Sydney's got a terrific structure in their back half, but I just lean towards Hawthorn because of the unpredictability of those guys.
You're tipping Hawthorn, but what would Sydney have to do to get the money on the day?
Oh, mate, it's the same in every grand final. Obviously it starts in the midfield, doesn't it? That's whoever gets control in that midfield has a huge leg up because Sydney have shown they can score. When they go forward, they can score. They kicked in accurately last week, but they generated 30 scoring shots. There's no doubt they've got an unconventional forward line themselves. They don't have superstars up there aside from Adam Goods and probably Lewis Jetta, but they can score. So I think it really comes back to that midfield battle, and we probably say that every big game in the AFL, but that's what it's going to come down to. So if Sydney can gain control in the ruck and gain control in the midfield, there's no doubt they've got the potency to generate a winning score themselves, so it'll come back to there.
One of the big things that's going to have, I suppose, a fairly big influence on the day is the weather. I've just seen a report this morning that said it's going to be as low as 14 degrees, a fair bit of rain about in Melbourne, and could even be some hail on the day with some pretty strong winds. Who's that going to suit more, you think?
I don't know. I think people talk the elements up quite a lot, and obviously they have an influence, but there was that sort of weather in 2009 when Geelong played St Kilda. It was terribly cold, it was wet. I remember back to Brisbane's second grand final win in 2002. That was a terribly cold and wet day. I think the best team always wins. That sounds ridiculous, but I don't think the elements play as much of a factor as what people think. You'll often hear people say that wet weather actually favours the more skilled teams, so I tend to subscribe to that theory as well. So I don't think it's going to have too much of an influence, to be honest.
Well, we'll put the pressure on it. It's going over the airwaves now, Mike. We need your tip. Hawthorn by how many? And throw as a lead in the Norm Smith medal.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be too outrageous here, boys. I'm going Hawthorn by 4 goals. I think it'll be close all day, and I think they might sneak away late in the match. And Norm Smith medal, I can't go past Sam Mitchell. I think you go this medal, just like the Brownlow medal over the years, has been favoured towards the midfielders, and I'm tipping the best midfielder in the best team is going to do the business, and that's Sam Mitchell.
Very similar tips to our good friend and colleague Andre Grimaud as well there, so that's the smart money. Load up on it, boys and girls. Sam Mitchell and Hawthorn double.
They're favourites for a reason, boys.
That's exactly right. It doesn't matter as long as they win, you don't go broke back on winners.
That's exactly right.
Thanks very much, Mike. It's out there on the airwaves now. If you've got it wrong, we'll be into you. But you're on the money more often than not. We look forward to what should be a great Saturday.
Yeah, can't wait, fellas. It should be a ripper.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Michael Whiting, our AFL guru here at SportsFeva. Swamp, looking forward to the battle on Saturday.
Yeah, look, it should be a really good game. Like Mike said, really contrasting styles there, and it's always great when the two of them meet. And I watch a passing interest in the AFL, and the games that I've watched with Hawthorn this year. Buddy Franklin and Cyril Rioli are just two of the most exciting players to watch. They can just break a game open and do things they shouldn't be able to do, and I watched some highlights from the year from Sydney. I haven't seen a lot of play, and Lewis Jetta, they're talking him up as he could have been a potential sprint superstar. I saw a goal, the bloke kick. He caught it just outside the centre circle and just sprinted away, and no one was in a cooey of him by the time he got to the goal square. And when you have exciting players like that, it should make for a ripper grand final. And just hope the weather stays away for a little bit so they can really showcase those classy skills.
Yeah,
But,
like Mike said, he said that the elements sometimes get talked up too much, but you still want dry, fine conditions so that everyone can play their best football on the day. Yep. So, like I said, looking forward to it. Neither is a huge AFL. We're both league men at heart, but I do enjoy the AFL, and particularly the final series. And I've watched all the finals games. We've seen some high quality AFL. So looking forward to it. Can't wait for Saturday afternoon. Time now for another word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to talk up the NRL Grand Final. Another great rugby league anthem, another one from Tina Turner. She was good at tuning them out, Swamp, wasn't she, old Tina?
Sure was.
24 minutes to 9 here on 101.5. Time now to turn our attention to Sunday's NRL Grand Final. The Melbourne Storm taking on the Canterbury Bulldogs. Joining us on the line, another great friend. We've had all our good friends on this morning, Swamp. Another great friend of the show. He's one of the best NRL analysts going around. Good morning to Warwick Nicholson.
Good morning, boys. It's nice to be loved.
Yes, mate. We haven't had you on since Origin 3. We let you get over the defeat of New South Wales. But haven't we had a fantastic final series, although a little bit tainted by some video ref decisions?
Yeah, I mean, that's the downside of it all. I mean, the worst part of the last couple of weeks is we had predicted this was going to happen. Unfortunately, it's happened. We've had the video ref stuff a few results. But having said that, I don't think anyone can argue that the two best teams are there on grand final day.
Yeah, can only agree with you there, Was. Now, it's going to be a huge game. Like you said, the two best teams all year. One thing that's been, or that I've picked up during the week, is that the Storm have been furious in, I suppose, not really denying, but playing down the fact that this is supposed to be atoning for those lost premierships that they had stripped away from them. Should we buy into that? Are they worried about that, in trying to win one back for when they were stripped of those titles a couple of years ago?
Well, it's interesting, on the Not the Footy Show podcast we actually recorded last night, I had Luke Patton, who used to play for the Bulldogs, and he went through the exact same thing with the Bulldogs back in 2002. They were leading the competition, they won 17 games straight, and then they lost all their competition points and were fined for breaching their cap. And he sort of explained that at the time, all he wanted to do, and all the players wanted to do, was prove to other people that, look, we deserve that title, we would have won the title, etc., etc. And it was funny speaking to him last night that, as age mellows all of us, he actually realised that probably the right decision was made, and that they probably didn't deserve that chance for the title back in 2002. Having said that, they won in 2004, so that helped his perspective. But he actually said that he wouldn't be surprised if the players are all geared up to basically show everybody that, hey, we deserve a title.
It's been on the flip side of that, it's been an amazing rise for the Bulldogs, and especially under Desi Hasler. If he wasn't before, can we count him among the best coaches in the game now?
Well, he's definitely in the current group of coaches is amongst the best. I mean, you don't take a team to two premierships like he did with Manly. I mean, Manly, we'd seen the talent was there, but he mostly cultivated into a premiership side. And then, of course, he's gone there and spent 1 year at the Bulldogs and taken them from, also ran status to the minor premiership, and now they've got a chance against the Storm in the grand final. Look, you've got to give Hasler credit, because you've seen, it's not just been a case of a coach has taken over a good side and they've got to a good point. You've seen how the Bulldogs have changed this year, and it's a direct result of Des Hasler.
Yes, he's unbelievable in what he's done with the Bulldogs this year. There's a lot of great battles across the park on Sunday, but I think the real promoter's dream is the battle of the fullbacks, the two little guys from North Queensland, Benny Barber and Billy Slater. They're entertainment machines.
Yeah, I mean, if we speak about the great fullbacks in the game, and the fact that granted it was media, but we were basically saying that, hey, look, Ben Barber might even be better than Billy Slater like 6 or 7 weeks ago when he went on that amazing run. That gives you indication of just how good Ben Barber has been, because people don't say that off the cuff about Billy Slater possibly losing his number one tag fullback. The beauty of this matchup is that Billy Slater's back into form. I mean, we'd seen the back end of the season, the Storm had won a bunch of games towards the end after he came back from an injury, but he wasn't 100%. He was struggling with that knee injury, but the last couple of weeks we've seen the best of Billy Slater, and last week he was just magnificent, a legal try or not.
The other battle that I'm actually really looking forward to is in the number 9 jersey between Cam Smith and Mick Ennis. Some wonderful duels over the years, the pair of them. How much influence are they going to have on the game?
Well, I think we've seen the influence of Michael Ennis to a T in the Bulldogs style. I mean, everyone talks about how their forwards, particularly their front rowers, pass the ball on Cassiano and Graham Coleman, and they sort of link to the back line. And the reason that has been such a successful thing for the Bulldogs this year is that Michael Ennis has actually toned down what he's done in attack. If you've noticed, he hasn't run from his dummy half as much, he hasn't kicked as much, and it seems like Des Huddles came in and said, okay, mate, look, I worked with Matt Fallon at Manly, who was just a very accomplished defender, really good distributor of the ball, and he said, look, Michael, I know you like to attack, but our attack is going to work if we're going to use our forwards, and that's been the biggest thing that the Bulldogs have changed this year, is that Michael Ennis has actually made more of an influence by doing less. It's a funny way of looking at it, but he definitely has done that. And then you know what Cameron Smith was about. The guy is, I think, in career best form at the moment, and the speed that he is able to get out of dummy half in recent times is the key to the Storm. Because, I mean, the fact the Storm, I was speaking about this last night, the fact is they play the ball down beautifully when they're defending, and they play the ball at an incredibly fast pace in attack, and that's what makes the Melbourne Storm so good.
Well, time's come now, who will win it, and by how many?
I can't go past the Storm simply because I just don't know if the Bulldogs have got a game plan that can blow the Storm off the park. One of the beauties of the Bulldogs in the last few months of their winning streak was they had amazing starts. I don't think Melbourne give them that amazing start. Having said that, the Bulldogs are great at hanging in, and that'll keep them in the match towards the end of the game. But I think Melbourne start well. I've got them leading a couple of tries at half time, and I think even though the Bulldogs will make a run late in the game, Cameron Smith gets the Melbourne Storm across the line at 20 points to 16.
And Cam Smith, your Clive Churchill medalist?
Yeah, I think if the game's close, he's an absolute moral.
Fantastic. I think we're on the same wavelength there, or was, with, I think, Swampy, you think the same?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think, Smith just does so much work there that it's not super flashy, but anyone that watches the game and knows the game just knows what a massive influence he has. And if the Storm are winning, he's doing the stuff, so I agree.
Smith or Cronk for the Clive Churchill for me. Now, was a fantastic preview on your podcast, not the footy show last night, of the final, in depth. Where can people download that one?
Okay, you can just grab that at wnicholson.com, or you can just jump on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/NRL podcast.
And you were saying earlier there's a really good interview with Luke Patton on there.
Yeah, look, he's the great thing about talking to retired players is you don't get cliched answers. So you want to listen to his interview. He talks about a lot of things about preparing for a grand final as an 18-year-old, and then as a 24-year-old. A big difference in that. And as I said, the big thing that you really need to listen to is just his viewpoint on the whole, how you react to your salary cap debacle and how you bounce back a couple of years later. It's really interesting.
It's great listening. Make sure you download that one, not the footy show. We've enjoyed having you on the show this year. We'll try and squeeze you on again sometimes. We'll find some rugby league to talk about in a couple of weeks' time, no doubt. But fantastic for your insight, and have fun at the GF on Sunday.
Looking forward to it, boys. And remember, I can talk cricket.
Cricket? Yeah, you're a cricketer too. We might have to get you on. We'll get you on. Your man of many hats, was.
I think so. Thanks, boys.
Good on you, was. Warwick Nicholson, the NRL tweet on Twitter. He's the king of Twitterverse, and host of Not the Footy Show, a great podcast that you can podcast, and he's fantastic in-depth insight into the grand final on Sunday. Swamp, we've got to talk about it. Time has come. Last Sunday, we all went with big hopes. We had a huge show last week, all Dolphins orientated. We're in 3 grades, the Colts, the reserve grade, and also the Queensland Cup. The Colts, we started well.
Started beautifully.
Hey, we got out to a big lead in the Colts game. It was a bit shaky there for a while. Wynnum come home hard, but we held on the back of some great efforts by a couple of local boys, Tommy Opacek and also Dalton Phillips. Tommy scored 2 tries, Dalton Phillips in a man of the match effort.
Yeah, Tommy Opacek scored the match winner in the second half, and plenty of people who'll be catching plenty of eyes with the first try that he scored. A wonderful grab, and I think he ran about 20 metres to score off that kick. It was really exciting stuff from the young centre. And Dalton Phillips, who I think in that second half, Wynnum just muscled up, and they were looking like they were going to run over the top of Redcliffe again, just like they did a couple of weeks ago. The boys lost their heads a little bit. They started to get down, but I thought Dalton Phillips really stood up. He matched Wynnum physically, and he really gave his other players something to work with there. We spoke to Colts assistant coach Peter Robinson last week about Dalton. We asked him specifically about Dalton. He said only a little bloke, needs to put on a bit more size, but
as a hard as biggest far lap, and that's quoting Robbo. And geez, that was evident on Sunday. For his size, he played out of his skin, and every time a Wynnum player come, he was there, the first bloke to knock him down. I'd love to see his tackle count, and had some real sting in his tackles for a little bloke. I was so super impressed by his effort.
And that was what, sparked that late comeback, got that Dolphins back line really into gear, and probably in that last 5 minutes, though, they were pushing for a win, they were holding on to possession, and Tom Opacek crashed over, and I think Dalton was the first one there to pat him on the back and give him a well done. So a deserved man of the match performance there from Dalton Phillips, and a wonderful coaching effort throughout the year from Wemeran local Troy Lindsay.
Troy Lindsay is a legend of the club. He was already a legend of the Dolphins, but that legend just gets bigger and bigger. Won so many premierships as a player, and then to come back and coach that Colts side, and took over that Colts side when they were gone. They couldn't win a game, and I know he's got totally new players, and as time goes on, Colts go out of that age bracket, but to take the Colts team and that Colts setup from where it was, and he brought in some legends like Robbo and some old other staffers that had been around the club, and brought back that real Redcliffe spirit to that Colts setup, and look, it's paid wonders, and he'll go down as one of the great Dolphins of all time, Cowboy.
And just for Dolphins fans, really exciting times in that Colts side. If the club can hold on to the majority of those players, there's just some wonderful young talents in there. I thought Dwayne Duncan was very good on the day, and we talk about him a lot, but he's deserving of all the accolades. And Zach Strasser is just such an exciting young talent. He's a player that takes the game and just seizes it and plays it on his own terms, and everyone else is trying to catch up. He looked dangerous every time he had the ball against Wynnum. He didn't quite operate like he did against Norse, where by all accounts he was just about unstoppable. Wynnum were very good in trying to shut him down, but geez, it took a lot of resources for Wynnum to shut him down, and that opened the game up for his teammates. That's
exactly right. Wynnum come with a plan, no doubt, to shut down Strasser, but that opened up those opportunities for Opacek and Duncan that we've seen, and look, he's got a big future, there's no doubt, Strasser, and like Peter Robinson said, he's just got to realise how good he really is I draw a lot of parallels between him and Matty Gillette at the same age. We've seen Gillette come through, juniors at the Dolphins, but in a Colts setup at West, where you won a Colts premiership. Another player that just had a lot of ability, but just didn't quite realise how good he was and what he could make out of rugby league. So a lot of parallels there. An amazing effort, the big second rower, Harley Aono, played with a broken jaw in the second half.
Broken in 2 places.
That's legendary stuff, isn't
Against doctor's orders, a few of those Colts players were going down, and they looked to the bench. I think on that bench was, of course, the captain, Ben Cook, who had one of the grisliest injuries you'll see. I think he had stitches about 6 or 7 centimetres long from his lip into his cheek. They looked to the bench, and Harley said, I want to go back out there and help the team. And that'll go down with those blokes for a very long time, and a good friend John Sloan tipped Harley to be making some appearances in the senior grades next year on the back of a wonderful season this year.
He's such a talented player, Big Harley. He plays out wide as a second row and just can offload at will. All years created that great second place play for that Dolphins Colts side. But well done. It's a bumper crop of Colts. Grab a program or have a look at who was in that side. There'll be a heap of players that kick off from that team. But anyway, well done to the Colts. We better move on to the reserve grade. Look, a disappointing day. I don't think their heads were just quite there on the day. Those reserve grade boys. They played well enough. I just think on the day East wanted a little bit more.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, Matty. East's a very big team, very very big team, and they were hungry. They lost to the Dolphins a couple of weeks ago, and while the Dolphins were on top in that game, East stayed in it the whole time, and I think they knew that they had a sniff in that game, and they weren't going to let that slide again. And I thought East were on top for most of it, and they just couldn't find a way through there, the A grade.
Yeah, it was disappointing, but then we turned our attention to Queensland Cup and all our hopes, and we started well. A great break by Marty Hatfield led to a Liam Georgetown try, and congratulations to Liam, his 17th consecutive try. Consecutive game that he scored a try, which is an amazing effort, and hats off to him. And then it all went a little bit pear-shaped from there, Swamp.
It did go very pear-shaped. Wynnum scored just on half time, which would have not been the ideal, and then look, they came out and they were just too good in that second. Oh, they were too good for most of the game. I thought it was a little bit of a freakish break that Marty made to score that first point. So we probably weren't the better side at that point, and Wynnum were on top for most of the game. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find so many Dolphins fans that say Wynnum didn't deserve it. They were just too hungry, too big, and too strong on the day. And the Finns picked the biggest stage of the year to turn in one of their not worst, but certainly not one of their best performances of the year.
I'm happy to say it was their worst, and I think most of the players would agree, Swamp. That was probably their worst game by a considerable margin all year. A lot of handling errors. Won't single out any players at all, the handling errors, but there was a lot of mistakes in key position. Gave up ball. Just put too much pressure on the defence, and they're an exhausted team by the end. The last 10 minutes had to play with 12 men with injuries to Derek Watkins, Maury Kennedy. Delroy Berryman had to stay on the field with a virtual, how he scored that try that he did with 5 minutes to go. He was flat out walking, let alone running. Isaac Almau had broken his ribs. They just, because they'd hand over so much ball, they were just a tired team. I want to just give raps to two players that just gave their all. Troy Geese and Matty Hancock just played the games of their lives on the weekend and really kept Redcliffe in the game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Matty Hancock had some pretty big shoes to fill wearing that number 8 jersey back into the starting side with Chris Farrell sitting on the bench, and right from the get-go, he sees the initiative in that game, and he was incredibly solid. He was there in tackles. He was calling for runs. He was one of their best in the first half, and continued it in the second. And Troy Geese, who's just continued the second half of the year resurgence, he was as good as he's been all year. Look at the last 5-6 matches that Troy Geese has played, and that's as good a rugby league as you'll see any player turn in this year. He's just been absolutely fantastic, and for mine was the best player for the Dolphins on the day. He just gave his absolute heart, gave his absolute all, and things would have been a lot worse had he not been on the field.
Yep, it's a case of what could have been, but as we know in sports, Swamp,
always next year.
There's always next year, and these lows that you suffer for a grand final defeat are what make the highs so great, So we look onwards and upwards to next year. A big shout out to Derek Watkins and also Chris Farrell, who have officially both retired from the game. Both great servants for the Dolphins that have been there. I think Derek's been there for 5 or 6 years, come across from the Broncos setup, affiliate clubs, and Chris Farrell, who come from Tweed, had decided halfway through the year that he would retire. Unfortunately had that broken jaw he suffered in the final a couple of weeks ago, and look, they've been great servants for the club, and they will be missed in 2013.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the leadership, I think, their ability to talk to the group and get a group fired up. And we hear it so often that Derek is described as the heart and the soul of that team. When he's not there, there's just something missing. So he'll be a big loss for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's some other news floating around with player signings. A lot of that's to be all sorted out, so we'll keep that under wraps until we get that all official, and we might have Grant Cleal, the CEO there at the Dolphins, on in a couple of weeks. There'll be some signing news by then, some new signings, some re-signings, and we'll know who's left the club all officially rather than speculate. We'll leave that on the back burner for a couple of weeks. But it was a great year, Swamp, but we broke all types of records, but just missed the big one.
Yeah, I know you said this last week, that it's hard not to remember the year for the last game, but it deserves to be remembered for a wonderful year. The club championship, Liam Georgetown's records and point and try scorers, leading point try scorers in every grade. It really was, by all measures of success that I can come up with, by the last one, a wonderful season for the club, and should be given credit for that as well. I know it hurts to lose that big one, but Dolphins fans should be pretty proud with the year that was.
We won the Herald Cup.
Herald Cup, there you go.
That's all that matters. Cop that, Wynnum.
Yeah.
And the Colts, we beat Wynnum in that. So that's all Colts and the Herald Cup. Well, and club championship. That's all we worry about. Grand final. That's all we've got for SportsFeva today. Thanks for joining me again, Swamp.
Always a pleasure.
A big grand final weekend coming up in the AFL and NRL. A big thanks to all our guests this morning. Local golfing star Daniel Nisbet, our good friend of the show, Consell from Kilcoy Race Club. Don't forget to get along to Kilcoy Races on Monday for their big meeting. And our two gurus in the AFL and the NRL, Mike Whiting in the AFL, Warwick Nicholson in the NRL. Thanks to those guests. A couple of our other good friends of the show. Shane Moon is tipping a Sydney Swans Canterbury Bulldogs double.
Well, in that case, I'll tip the Storm and Hawthorn.
I'm on board with you as well. I think Storm and Hawthorn, and Andre Grimaud is also on board with a Storm Hawthorn final. So Mooney's always been a little bit different.
He's constantly claiming that he's got form leading into the back end of the year, so this will be a test for him.
Let's see how we go.
Of the year.
That's right. So, well, thanks to all our guests, and we'll be back again next week to wrap up all the sport, and we'll better start talking about some cricket.
Yeah, just about time. Bust out the whites, Matty.
Yep, good luck to the Queensland Bulls, who do start their Sheffield Shield season on Monday.
With Brendale product Cameron Boyce and Caboolture product Luke Feldman in
That's
that
it,
side.
the two, Backstreet Boys and Lukey Feldman. Good luck to all those guys. Stand by. Coming up at 9 o'clock is the national news, and then it's Morning Magazine for all your news, views and interviews.